ValveTime.net.
Hi, and welcome to the ValveTime News. Each week we'll bring you the biggest talking points regarding Valve and the community. Now the news. A day after last week's Roundup episode aired, Phase 3 of the playoffs for the International 2014 tournament concluded on Monday with Team DK and Newbie joining Evil Geniuses and VC Gaming in the upper bracket of the main event. While Team Liquid and Titan were both sent home after being eliminated from the tournament, Na'Vi, Invictus Gaming, Cloud9, and LGD Gaming were all sent to the lower bracket, eventually competing against DK, VC, and EG after Newbie dominated the upper bracket on Friday. On Saturday, 2011 and 2012 champions Na'Vi and Invictus Gaming were both eliminated by Cloud9 and LGD Gaming respectively. The main event is still very much underway, and the grand final between Newbie and a currently to be decided finalist is still scheduled to take place on Monday, July 21st. We'll recap the final stages of the event more thoroughly on next week's show, but for now it is important to note that the first place prize for the event recently surpassed $5 million as the total prize pool inches closer to $11 million. Thankfully, the production value for the event has been fittingly exceptional, so be sure to tune in if you haven't already. If you want to stay up to date with the tournament, you can spectate the event live within the Dota TV client, on the Dota 2 blog, or on Twitch TV alongside a brand new viewing method available for the first time ever. On Thursday, it was revealed Valve had partnered with sports network ESPN to broadcast the main event of the International 2014 live on ESPN3. The full broadcast is joined by a special program on ESPN2 on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which features a special preview of the grand final and an exclusive interview with Gabe Newell himself. This recent partnership was a response by both Valve and ESPN to highlight just how much mainstream appeal esporting events such as TI4 can actually have. ESPN2 and ESPN3 are both available on WatchESPN.com, the Watch ESPN tablet and smartphone app, and on television streaming services such as Apple TV, Chromecast, and Xbox Live. After the conclusion of the playoffs on Monday, organizations such as Na'Vi began uploading interviews with various Valve employees and Dota personalities. A few particularly noteworthy interviews featured Valve's Gabe Newell and Eric Johnson. Gabe Newell focused on discussing why he believes games like Dota 2 are now far more popular than first-person shooters and how the first International came about, while Eric focused on how the team at Valve were able to prepare for the event and what they particularly enjoy working on a project such as the International. Eric's second video was far more tongue-in-cheek, as he explained why it has taken Valve so long to implement the Techies hero, stating that the world wasn't quite ready for their explosive arrival. Those of you tuning in on Saturday evening will have seen Techies' surprise reveal at the beginning of the All-Star matchup. It was extremely crazy and funny matchup featuring plenty of bad-mouthing, odd picks, feeding, pyrotechnics, and we highly recommend you go check it out if you haven't already. With Techies now complete, expect to see them added to the main game's hero roster sometime after the end of the tournament on Monday. We'll be sure to let you know when they're finally added. In the meantime, links to all 3 interviews will be made available in the video description, so feel free to check them out. After the conclusion of the All-Star match, presenter James Too Good Harding was given permission to present the results from the 3 Compendium votes. In the end, Phantom Assassin was announced as the winner of the Arcana pack, Faceless Void will now receive a model overhaul, and Spectre is set to receive a new voice pack, and God only knows why. All 3 pieces of content will likely be released within a month or 2, so keep an eye out for their arrival. Last week, the TF2 ongoing development team promised frequent updates for maps included as part of the Manco Beta Maps program, and they began delivering earlier this week with a new update which introduced multiple redesigns for both Cactus Canyon and Asteroid. The first half of Cactus Canyon Stage 2 has been totally redesigned to remove the weird balancing issues brought about by having Blue Team push the cart down a hill rather than up. You might remember how we complained about Asteroid being too large and overly complex in last week's show, and this week's update has thankfully fixed most of these issues by completely overhauling many areas of the map. The map's size has been dramatically reduced, the largely redundant front lobby and cave areas have been totally removed, and additional flanking routes have been simplified. Other important changes made to Asteroid in the larger robot destruction game mode include a more detailed heads-up display, the ability for robots to act as mini dispensers, and the removal of the spawn teleporter, a change Nick tells me he's particularly fond of. The map and game mode are still far from perfect as both continue to feel a little campy, but it's definitely heading in the right direction. The same update also introduced yet another song from the expired date short, this time in the form of 3 Days to Live. As with the other 19 or so startup songs, 3 Days to Live will randomly play on the game's main menu, but you can always rip it straight out of the game files if you're looking to listen to it on your own time. Counter-Strike Global Offensive players should be pretty pleased as CSGO received a total of 3 rather substantial updates in the space of a week. The first update, released on July 10th, introduced an all-new eSports 2014 summer case, a new collection of weapon finishes, significant alterations to how the game handles bullet penetration, and a small collection of changes to numerous maps, including Dust, Dust 2, Inferno, Insertion, and Castle. The second update, released on July 16th, also focused largely on map tweaks, including new flanking routes and path visibility in Overpass and Cobblestone, while fixing 1 or 2 minor lighting issues in Black Gold. The third and final update, released on July 17th, continued to focus on minor map changes, fixing some minute issues with Overpass. Each update obviously featured substantially more details than we're going to go into here on the show, so be sure to check out the official changelogs for yourself if you haven't already. Alternatively, you may want to take a look at a new blog post released on July 10th, which discusses the total playtime of maps since the introduction of Operation Breakout 2 weeks ago. The blog post compares how the most popular maps such as Black Gold, Castle, and of course Dust 2 factor against one another in regards to win-loss balancing. Even though the new community pack was only a week old at the time of the post, it does show how Valve is continually looking to balance the game's map roster, even if CS Office isn't looking too healthy over there. Earlier this week, a new Portal 2 mod by the name of Aperture Tag, the Paint Gun Testing Initiative, was finally released onto Steam after several months of build-up. The mod focuses on combining the fun first-person puzzle solving of the Portal series with the crazy spray and play fun of Tag the Power of Paint student project, which acted as the inspiration for the paint mechanics in Portal 2. After having pre-release access to the game prior to its Steam release on Tuesday, we were able to release a full video review on Wednesday. The game's release has been controversial amongst the community to say the least, but be sure to head on over to find out what we think at the end of this episode. We promised a special video a good few weeks ago, and now we finally got around to releasing episode 3 of ValveTime Database on Friday of this week. While we know a lot of you think Database is special by itself, this episode is particularly unique as we use this new episode to take a detailed look at Valve's first cancelled title, Prospero. Originally cancelled in 1997 or 1998, little is known about Prospero, its premise, or its development, but with some new never-before-seen screenshots and exclusive insight from Half-Life lead writer Marc Laidlaw, we were able to learn more than ever before about this exclusive title. If you're curious about Valve's history or how the company's earliest titles have influenced technology and games released since, this episode of Database should seriously prove interesting to you, and not just because we're a teensy bit biased. Now, before we end this episode, we'd like to extend our thanks to all of our fans and followers who have helped us recently surpass 18,000 subscribers after the success of our Prospero episode. I know we say this for every major milestone, but hopefully that just shows how much it really means to us. It wasn't so long ago that we announced surpassing 17,000 subscribers on YouTube, so we're extremely surprised and pleased with how fast we've been able to grow over the past few weeks. Thanks again to everyone who subscribes and continually supports us. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, what are you waiting for? Click that little button and join the Cool Nerds Club. And that brings us to the end of another week of Valve news. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and to sign up to get involved over on the ValveTime.net forums. If you enjoy our content, be sure to share your videos with our friends and to rate our Dota 2 announcer pack positively over on the Steam Workshop. Thanks for watching and bye for now.